Hello, Oilers fans. Austin here with a video. Now, it's not the day after discussion that I was planning on doing. With all the discourse surrounding Jeff Skinner, the way the team has been playing overall since coming back from the holiday break, and basically kind of how they've been playing since December 16th, I wanted to take a look at some of the numbers. I wanted to discuss where the Oilers are trending right now, which spoiler alert, it's trending down after they had a pretty good start to the month of December. And I also wanted to discuss Jeff Skinner's time in Edmonton, whether there is a way forward for him with the coaching staff, or if I believe Kris Knoblauch has completely lost trust in this player, and if the Oilers will try and ask him to waive his no move and see if he'll want to be traded somewhere that might be able to utilize him in a role that Jeff Skinner would be better suited. So if you end up enjoying this little discussion video today, make sure you hit that like button. And if you really like it, make sure to subscribe to the channel as we continue to grow a great community here on YouTube. And like I mentioned, the Edmonton Oilers, they have not been playing very well. They lost to the LA Kings. They lost to the Anaheim Ducks. They had a lead in both games. They had two separate two-goal leads against Anaheim. And it was a very listless kind of, I don't know, just going through the motions effort against Anaheim. I thought their effort against Los Angeles was much, much better, much higher tempo. The game against LA had its ebbs and flows. There were lots of the parts of the game where the Oilers were controlling play, and then lots of parts of the game where the LA Kings were controlling play. And at the end of the day, it came down to overtime, and LA played better in overtime. They got the win. Anaheim, though, was an interesting one. Now, for Jeff Skinner, he was a healthy scratch against the Anaheim Ducks, and the Edmonton Oilers went out there. They got a quick 2-0 lead. Then it was 2-1. Then they made it 3-1. And then after the Oilers made it 3-1, it looked like they just kind of stopped carrying, stopped playing. It's like they had no energy in their legs. The Oilers' top players had been playing poorly as well. Connor McDavid was a -3. Leon Draisaitl didn't have a great game. Yes, he scored 2 power play goals. A lot of times when I do these discussion videos, if I say someone didn't have a great game, I'm usually referring to the 5-on-5 play, unless the special teams is something that I need to make note of. So always remember, I'm usually talking 5-on-5. I didn't find that the Oilers' top players played that great at 5-on-5, but their bottom 6, and for the last couple of weeks, other than maybe Connor Brown, haven't been doing anything. Connor Brown has points in 8 straight games. Now, his advanced metrics haven't looked great. He's riding a bit of a PDO heater right now, so he will start to regress a little bit. But for Jeff Skinner, he was a healthy scratch against the Ducks. And then today, so after the day after, the Oilers had maybe their worst effort of the entire season, other than maybe that Montreal game earlier in November. At practice today, the lines were posted, and Jeff Skinner was once again the odd man out. These were the lines that were in practice today. So even though the Oilers laid an absolute egg against Anaheim, they had no juice in their legs, no energy whatsoever. They looked completely disinterested in playing hockey. The fact that Jeff Skinner was a healthy scratch against the Ducks, and then at practice today was the 13th forward in the line rotations, that's concerning from numerous perspectives here. I've been hard on Jeff Skinner this season. You know what? And I've probably been unfairly too hard towards Jeff Skinner because he was brought in to score goals. I think Jeff Jackson's mindset with bringing a guy like Jeff Skinner in was because he looked at the wingers that Draisaitl played with for a bulk of last season and during the playoffs, and there wasn't a lot of finishing talent on Draisaitl's wings. Well, if you look at Draisaitl's wingers right now, you have Vasily Podkolzin and Victor Arvidsson. Victor Arvidsson's been playing better. He's been getting some points. Vasily Podkolzin, he does a lot of really good things away from the puck. His advanced metrics are off the charts, but the actual goals for just isn't there for Podkolzin. He doesn't have that finishing touch. Leon Draisaitl, he doesn't have a pure sniper on either of his flanks. And I think Jeff Skinner was kind of thought to be that guy that would come in and it be a pure shooter and help Draisaitl out just a little bit. But Kris Knoblauch's system, it's a bit slower paced. It's not as high tempo on offense, and it's very defensive. Like, the Oilers do play a defensive system. They are defensively structured. They do slow the pace down. They try and play low event hockey is what I call it. And sometimes the games can be boring. I've mentioned that numerous times as well this season, that every now and then I'm watching an Oilers game and I am usually bored, but that's a good thing. That means the Oilers are playing their system to a T, and imagine how the opponents feel. If I, as a fan, am bored watching the Oilers, imagine how the opponents feel trying to get through that. Like, that would just be headache-inducing. Now, it's nothing like the Jacques Lemaire, New Jersey Devils, Minnesota Wild. It's nothing like that. However, Jeff Skinner's fit on this team has been, it's been questionable at best. Earlier in the season, he did get a look with Draisaitl, and he also got a look with McDavid, but it seemed like whenever he was on the ice with either of those two players, they were bleeding goals against. Not Jeff Skinner's fault. You can't fault him for all these goals against because the team early in the season, they were giving up so many darn goals, and the goaltending was putrid other than maybe Calvin Pickard. So Stuart Skinner had a really bad start to his season. It seemed like every time Jeff Skinner was on the ice, pucks were going into the net. And at one point this year, I think the team save percentage with Skinner on the ice was like 84%. It's bumped up a little bit to 88.9%, which is not great at 5-on-5, but it is getting better. But the coaching staff seem to have lost their trust with Jeff Skinner in a top 6 role. They bumped him down to the bottom 6. And in a bottom 6 role, at least on the Edmonton Oilers, Janmark, Henrique, and Brown are not flashy players. And neither is Derek Ryan, neither is Corey Perry. But they play a style that fits what Kris Knoblauch wants. Whether I as a fan or you as a fan agree with it, that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Kris Knoblauch has his system, Paul Coffey with the defensive side, and Stewart as well. They have the system and style that they want this team to play. Janmark, Henrique, and Brown, you can say what you want about their advanced metrics. They're not great. They don't actually produce a whole lot either, and they tend to give up a lot. Adam Henrique has not been a great third-line center this season, but Jeff Skinner just didn't find a fit on that third line. Then they bumped him down to the fourth line, and again, he just didn't seem to look comfortable. There was that game against Florida, since I'm talking about that, and I'm going to show some stats since that game against Florida on December 16th. Since that game against Florida, the Oilers have not been good. But Jeff Skinner in that Florida game, he was on the ice for 0 shot attempts for. Like when he was on the ice, the Edmonton Oilers did not even get a single shot attempt towards Florida's net. And then the next game, which I believe was against Boston, it took until the third period for Jeff Skinner to be on the ice for a shot towards the Bruins goal. So Jeff Skinner was almost on the ice for 2 straight games without a single puck directed towards the opponent's net. And I think as a coaching staff, when you're looking at that, yes, there are other players on the ice. It's not just Jeff Skinner that's out there. There are 4 other bodies plus the goalie that are out, playing with him. It's not Jeff Skinner's fault. It doesn't fall on his shoulders. But when it seems like every time something bad is happening or the team gets hemmed into their zone and you happen to look at who was on the ice and you see Jeff Skinner out there, again, whether it's right or wrong, I'm leaving this up to you, the viewers. I have my own opinions of Jeff Skinner. I've been very vocal about Jeff Skinner, but I understand the reasoning as to why he's kind of in the doghouse for Kris Knoblauch. And the fact that he can't even get back into the lineup, or at least he's not projected to get back into the lineup tomorrow against Utah on New Year's Eve, shows that Kris Knoblauch, not only is Jeff Skinner in the doghouse, Kris Knoblauch has taken the key to the doghouse, and he has absolutely thrown it over a bridge into a river to be swept away. I'm not sure how the team moves forward. I don't know how Kris Knoblauch moves forward with Jeff Skinner, and I don't know how Stan Bowman and Jeff Jackson move forward either. I don't know if they look to try and move him, get a better fit. But let's discuss the Oilers' numbers since December 16th. This was including the Florida Panthers game. It's a small sample size, so we're not going to, overanalyze it. It is a 6-game sample size. However, I had mentioned after that Florida game that the cracks were starting to show in their play in the Vegas game before the Florida game. And then they came out against Florida. The goaltending was really, really putrid. They gave up some high danger looks that they shouldn't be giving up. I didn't think they deserved to entirely lose that game against Florida, but they didn't really deserve to win it either. That could have went to either team. The team that had Bobrovsky happen to win. Stuart Skinner did not play good in the Florida game, but the Oilers' record in their last 6 games is 3-2-1. Out of those 3 wins, 2 of them are in overtime, and both of them, they had to come back late in the third period. They were down by a goal against San Jose, and they were also down by a goal against, the Boston Bruins. And they had to tie it up late and then win the game in overtime. So 2 late third period comebacks. The Oilers' record in their last 6 could very easily be 1-4-1 if it wasn't for those 2 late comebacks. The Oilers aren't always going to get to come back in games. They weren't able to do that against Anaheim yesterday. The Oilers' expected goals for league-wide at 5-on-5 since December 16th. 20th in the league, 49.03%. Corsi 4 ranks 18th at 49.91%. Goals for percentage, 46.15%, which ranks 20th. Scoring chances for ranks 17th, 49.36%. High danger chances for. Now, this is an interesting one. It ranks 10th, 52.48%. So what I'm looking at here is that the Oilers look like they've been very selective in terms of when they're deciding to shoot the puck instead of being volume shooters. At least that's kind of how I take a look at these stats on screen, because a lot of the other advanced metrics are poor, but they are still an almost top 10 team in generating high danger chances for. So they must just be a little bit more selective with their shots right now. High danger goals for percentage ranks 18th at 45.45%. Now, their save percentage, this is where we can look at the goaltending, and can we criticize it? Absolutely. 88.71%, which ranks 26th. I have not been able to take a look at what the goals saved above expected is since December 16th, but I imagine it's pretty poor, especially after that Florida game where I think Skinner was a negative 3.5 goals saved above expected or something like that. And the high danger save percentage is 79.31%, which is 20th. The goaltenders right now for the Edmonton Oilers, they're bleeding a lot of goals. They're giving up not as many high danger chances as I thought. So it's interesting looking at these numbers. They're not good. If you were to sustain this over an entire season, you're likely not a playoff team. The Oilers are lucky that their power play is starting to heat up. Their penalty kill has been terrific for the last month and a half. But going back to Jeff Skinner here, in 35 games played, 6 goals for, 6 assists. He's a -11, which is the worst among the entire forward group. Derek Ryan is next at -5, I believe. Third worst expected goals for among forwards on the Edmonton Oilers, minimum 100 minutes played at 46.73%. And the second worst goals for percentage among forwards at 36.11%. Only Derek Ryan has a worse goals for percentage at 35%, 7 goals for, 13 goals against for Derek Ryan, 13 goals for, 23 goals against for Jeff Skinner. Now, Jeff Skinner, of course, it's a tough one. I understand why he's in the doghouse. Is it entirely deserved? No. But is Jeff Skinner playing at a level that the coaching staff would look at him and be like, we should promote him, we should give him a chance? Or is he just kind of going through the motions? Because it seems like when Jeff Skinner's out there, he's just not doing a lot. And it's not just him. The entire stats for the entire team have not been good since December 16th. And if the team doesn't start to turn their play around like right now, they're going to be in a load of trouble heading into the new year. We want this team to continue riding high. They had a pretty good month of December. They've had a really good, basically almost 2 full months. Since November 9th, overall, this team has been very, very good. But lately, they are starting to slip a little bit of an oil spill, as I would say. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how the team responds after that loss to Anaheim. We'll see how the team responds tomorrow against the Utah Hockey Club. And we'll see if Jeff Skinner gets back into the lineup. And whenever he does, if he's not in the lineup tomorrow, whenever Jeff Skinner does get back in the lineup, we'll see how he responds being a healthy scratch as well. I really hope he responds and comes out with a fire lit under his ass and he's able to prove the coaching staff wrong. I hope he's able to prove me wrong as a fan who has been very hard on him. And we'll go from there. What are your thoughts on Jeff Skinner? What are your thoughts on the Oilers' play since December 16th? What do you think they need to do to improve? And is there anybody out there that you think the Oilers should try and acquire via trade or waiver wire? I'm scared to even mention this in a video because I understand the discourse surrounding a former Oiler that was put on waivers today. Good old Jesse Puljujarvi, the Bison King. I'm not looking to start anything, I promise. I do really like Jesse Puljujarvi. I think he was playing well in Pittsburgh. Mike Sullivan doesn't seem to trust him for some reason, and that seems to be the theme and story of Jesse Puljujarvi's career. However, when I look at the style that Puljujarvi plays now compared to what he played in Edmonton under Woodcroft's system, I think Jesse Puljujarvi would fit the Oilers' system better under Kris Knoblauch. Not saying I think the Oilers should pick him up, but I wouldn't be entirely against it either. Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, Oilers fans. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are not yet subscribed. And, of course, make sure to tell someone that you love them for me. And I look forward to the New Year's Eve matchup tomorrow against the Utah Hockey Club. I get off at 6:30 p.m. Mountain. The game starts at 7. I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow at 7 p.m. as long as my internet is able to handle it, because yesterday it was not able to handle the Anaheim game. So hopefully my internet is all good to go tomorrow, and we're able to ring in the new year together, Oil Country. I cannot wait to see all of you tomorrow. Fight like a kid and always fight like Ben. Let's go, Oilers. I'll see you soon.